Alright guys, welcome to this video. Tomasz here, and I'm going to talk about stats and all the process that we do in Photon in order to keep improving, evolve with the markets, and always progress. Okay, this video will be a little bit longer than usual, so please stay with me, and yeah, hope you guys take some value. So for me, process is something that I super involved with. It's something that I really find interesting, and it what separates, in my opinion, inconsistent from consistent traders, or at least future consistent traders, because in any business you need to have some foundations. You don't become, for example, profitable from like random actions. You need continuously doing the same thing, and only with the right process you can have that everything in place. Okay, everything in place that will lead you to that end result, that goal. So talking about process, I don't want this video to be super long, so I want to be relatively quick on this one. But process, basically, I recommend you guys doing the daily markups. Okay, this is something where you train your eyes, you always keep sharp, and yeah, it's very nice. So daily markups, if you use the M15 swing strategy, I just recommend you do one markups per day, so you don't need to do London recap and New York recap. Basically just wait for the end of the day and do both New York and London and New York together. Okay guys, then going into the weekly report, this is something it's very important, which is basically where I personally go over last week price action, and I try to study, try to see where were some mistakes I made, where can I improve. But it's not enough to give me any kind of real changes. Okay, it's just for me to see almost as evaluating myself over last week trading. Okay, it's not something that I start changing strategies or start thinking about changing strategies based on the weekly report. Weekly report is basically, if you have, because on trading we don't have bosses, okay, it's just we are alone. It's something that you imagine that you have a boss. In the end of the week, you give them the weekly report to see how the business is going, to see everything, if every employee did everything correct, so the boss knows what's going on. Okay, so that's what I do. And then the monthly ASR. The monthly ASR, this is where I dedicate a couple days in the end of the month, and I go over all my live trades and missed trades, and I can see I start seeing some ideas where I can improve. So I have at least, imagine, 10 trades or 15 trades, and I can start seeing, okay, I may need to change something, or I start seeing some light about possible change in the future. So it's really important in the end of the month, your monthly review. Okay, then going to the quarter review. This is when everything becomes much more interesting, because at this point I review the last 3 months, and I now have not just ideas, but I have the data. So I have the live data that can tell me, okay, Tomasz, it's worth going this way and stop doing that. It's worth doing this and stop doing that. So I have at least now the data that shows me what I need to do to keep improving. Sometimes you don't have anything to change from quarterly to quarterly basis, but there are times that you can actually see small tweaks, and believe me, these small tweaks every quarter in the end of the year is a big difference. Okay, even if it saves you 5% or an extra 3%, 3 times 4 is 12, right? So yeah, I really think it's very important period. And then the yearly ASR. This is where you need to dedicate a few weeks, not days, a few weeks in the end of the year, and go over all the quarters, remember all the lessons again, so you can start the next year with the main ideas on forefront of your mind, with everything you learn from the quarterly folders. Okay guys, this is a very general approach, but I hope you guys can see that in any business like trading, you need to have process. Imagine that you have a restaurant, you want to have every employee, for example, in the end of the week, giving a report on how things work. In the end of the month, you want to see if the month is doing with profit or not, to know what's happening. In the end of the quarter as well. And for example, in the end of the quarter, you can have now, instead of selling pizza, let's say, you can sell fish, because you can see that selling pizza does not worth it over 3 months period. So it's the same in trading. Over a few months, you can start seeing what works, what doesn't work, and this is how we will approach trading for the rest of your trading career. This is how we do in Photon, and to be honest, it just makes sense in my head, because if I was a student, what type of mentor what type of mentor would refuse to learn and keep improving every single year? I'm not saying about changing strategies, because I don't believe that that's the last thing I want to do. I really don't want to change strategies at all, because I know the amount of work it takes to create a strategy. So that's not something that I recommend. But if I was a student, I would like to learn from someone that every single quarter and year tried small tweaks here and there to make on top of their game. Because if I was a student and the mentor that I was learning trades the same the entire year, I mean, I think in 1 year you have enough data to make small tweaks. I'm not saying that you need to change the strategy. That's not what I'm saying. And again, I refuse to change strategies, because I know the work it takes to create a new strategy. I'm just telling that small tweaks are needed in order to you to keep evolving with the market and improve. Okay guys, so let's now talk about what happened now. Problem, right? So we found that there was, I don't like the word problem, because for me it's not like the fact that something will make the strategy. This is not something that will make the strategy stop working. The strategy still works with the old entry models. However, the new version, the LC models, are literally a game changer and will improve it will improve the strategy overall, right? So we start experiencing some low trade frequency over the quarter. So low trade frequency, some no tags, and also people forecast in detail, get the move correct, but unfortunately they could not capitalize. Or people are a little bit confused. Should I enter on the flip? Should I enter on the extreme? So they're all kind of, let's say, problems that we were faced with the things that we did. And then we of course found some solutions. This is LC1 to A and to B. There are more. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but this is basically the liquidation candle, the new variables that I personally trade. I trade these 3 models, and this is why I put here the solution. So how I came to this conclusion. So I basically did round 1, so Euro USD 2023. I did round 2 GU 2023, and then round 3 Euro Dollar 2022, and then round 4 GU 2022. So ideally you want to start with 2022 and finish with 2023 because it's more recent. But yeah, I just did the opposite, and it's not a massive difference. But if I was going to start over, I would start with 2022 and then I would go to 2023. But one thing that is very, very important for you guys to know, and I want this to be super clear for you when you're starting doing your testing, is that on round 1, I'm going to show you the stats. I don't want you to start filtering too much, For example, in round 1, I took much more entry models than these ones, I want to take almost everything. Okay, I want to have the data. I don't care. I'm not trying to be perfect in round one. I just want to have as much data as possible, of course valid, but I just want the data. And then I analyze everything as I finish the year. I analyze absolutely everything, and I make some refinements. And after those refinements, I make a trading plan. And then I go to round two again. I take everything that fits in the first refinement list, and I have the data. Again, I do the same thing. I go over all the trades, I make refinements, and I adapt the trading plan. And what I do now, I go to round three, which very refined trading plan. Okay, and I analyze all the trades I took on EU 2022, and then on the round number 4, I have like 3 refinements already, 3 trading plans refined already, and then I have a very, very close idea on how I want to trade them live. Okay, this is when I want for you guys to reach this phase where you are fully confident about how you want to trade. So of course, after round 4, you also analyze everything and you make your super refined trading plan based on these 4 rounds. Okay, this is what I did. Again, I start round 1 with multiple entries, then I analyze round 1, and I go to round 2 with a little bit less entries, and then round 3 with even less, and that's how I did it. I always refine, but it's very important, at least in the first 1 and 2, start with as much data as you can, okay? Don't worry about being perfect. Also, I really want you guys to understand that if you are going to create a strategy from scratch, that will be a different story. I personally don't recommend you creating a strategy and just having 2 years of data, or for me, just not enough. Okay, even 3 years of data is not enough for me. If you want to build a strategy from scratch, you need much more than that. You need much more than 100 trade examples. But this is what I said in the beginning. This is just a small tweak. This is just a small variable on top of an already profitable strategy. Okay, this is how every year you should improve your strategy. So the strategy works, but now based on my data, I analyze everything, and next year, for example, let's say it doesn't matter, but imagine that in the coming months, you then go with a much better strategy. Okay, so the strategy is the same. I want to make it very clear. The strategy is the same. It's just a small variable, and that's why I just made 4 rounds. Okay, because the strategy is the same. It's just a small variable that I want to introduce based on the problems that I found and how I found those problems making this process. So you can see everything is together. I do the process, I found the problems. I found the problems, I have some solutions. I test the solutions. Once the solutions are tested, I implement, and then I repeat. Next year, with the same process, I will find some problems. And I pick those problems and I find the solutions. And once I find the solutions, I will test. And again, it's not a different strategy. It's just a small variable. So I will now just, for example, make 4 rounds and then I implement. Okay? And a big problem that I see is people, for example, they are here, they implement, they have a drawdown, and they change that strategy. You don't even know that the amount of work you need to go through again and again and again to understand the next strategy again. Okay, so I really want to make it clear that this is the process, this is the steps we make, and it's something that I will do for the rest of my life. So I don't have any problem. So here you already know, I already shared this video. I already shared this Notion folder when I was recording for the M15 old entry models swing strategy. So I just want to, know, to show you how I did it. So basically, this is all the creation of the strategy. It takes massive work, but this is, like I said, just a variable. So now you click here, and then this is a small tweak. The strategy remains the same. So round one, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, guys, but I test LC1, LC2A, LC2B, combining A and B. And then I also was very interesting to see how LC4 was combined, okay? So I test this, and I just have my notes and my improvements, and once I have my improvements, I go to the next stage, and I did round 2, and it's the same. I did LC1, LC2A, so I start making some changes, and then again, notes, improvements, and then I go to round 3. And you can see on round 3, I have a much more refined plan, just LC1, just LC2A and LC2B, nothing more. Okay, and then round 4, which is the most refined way, and then I have a summary of everything, the most important notes, the most important improvements, like everything. Okay, absolutely everything. And this is the work it takes if you want to add a little small extra variable on top of your already existent profitable trading plan. Okay. We are not in Photon making changes just because we want to make changes. Every change we make in Photon, we make sure it's super well studied to make sure we have 100% confidence sharing this to the public. Okay, it's not by coincidence that the time this recording is December, and this month we have tons of people getting funded with the new LC models. Is because we do all this work to make sure the variable that we add will change and improve the strategy. Okay, so that's what I did, and now I want you guys just to see the stats. Okay, so round 1, please don't try to replicate this, because the round 1 is where I took absolutely everything. I'm not worried about stats at this point. I just want to see visual representation of the data. I want to see the screenshots. I want to see setups that works, setups that doesn't work. I want to build rules. So please forget and don't replicate. Don't try to replicate this. But you can see that was still decent. Like, I'm not very focused on the percentage, but yeah, it's still nice strike rate. 84 are okay, because commissions and buffer, especially with M15, I put 0.2, but it's a little bit lower, honestly, because if you use M15, you have a bigger stop loss. Because you have a bigger stop loss, the lot size is lower, and because the lot size is lower, the commission is also lower than the M5. So January, February, March, April, May, again, I don't look too much into this because I'm just trying to collect data. I took absolutely everything. LC1, okay, I took LC2A, LC2A plus 4, I'm going to explain that in a minute. This LC2A plus B is basically when we have equals, but at the same time, it can be a fake break. I'm going to explain as well. LC2B, you already know, and LC2B plus 4, I'm going to explain that. And that's the same. Okay, so basically what I want you guys to know is this. So basically, what is LC2B plus 4? It's basically what at least, of course, this happened during my testing, so it's not something that I implement, but I was just seeing if it works. In trading, you need to be a little bit creative to make the strategy, let's say. So in this case, LC2B plus 4 was basically when we have these equals and price swept the low, and then you're basically trying to play the liquidity interval number 4, but because it's super aggressive, especially with these entry models, I was making a strict criteria that I need to see LC2B happening alongside the LC4, okay? And I test that, and I also test LC2A combination with LC4, okay, and then yeah, that's the same thing, okay. I also test where I test this LC2A plus 1 is like when you have LC2A, which is a fake break, but you also have low time frame lead as extra confluence, and the same as well the LC2B, which is the equals, okay, when you have, for example, this equals, but then for some, let's say they have something like that, you have this equals, but you have also some LC1, so low time frame lead as confluence, okay. I was just, don't be so fixated here, I was just trying to make things, trying to see how can like what can work, what probably doesn't work. Like I was just trying to see, and yeah, that's how I approach round 1. And yeah, you can see that the most trades came from medium probable trades, which it kept going that way around the 4 phases. Also, in terms of phases, is not something that I can say about that, unless like you can see like phase D is the worst, and yeah, you can also, very interesting is that London Lul and New York Lul is something that, in my opinion, I found it does not worth it trading, okay. Even if you trade the M15, I found that London Lul and New York Lul over all rounds does not worth, okay. My goal in trading is I much prefer to have a high strike rate than high risk reward, and a very easy to fix thing to increase strike rate. I found that it was just stop trading during London Lul and New York Lul. You can see that the strike rate is horrible during, no, this one is not horrible, it's decent, but yeah, does not worth with risk reward, the percentage, right? I'm going to talk about this in the other rounds, but you can see that everything makes sense. That's round 1. Then I go to round 2. The same, very interesting. The most percentage came from medium probability trades. Everything you can also see that the variable number 4 start not working. You can see minus 1.8, just 2.3. So I slowly start deleting this, and this is what it's all about. You start with a very general approach and slowly start to refine things, okay. I immediately understand, okay, this does not work, or at least is not something that I want to trade from, because I really just want to have as much strike rate as possible. It's what I like, and yeah, this is much more aggressive, so I just delete. Then what we can see again here on the phases, phase C and B end up being with less strike rate. This is what I care about. Range, of course, is negative, but we already know that range is the lowest probability one. And yeah, there's not much more to say about, to be honest. London Lul also, strike rate not great. New York Lul, strike rate not great. So what you can see that actually trading during London and during New York worth more than just having trading the entire day. So if I want to increase the strike rate, okay, I can simply delete London Lul and New York Lul, and this will increase by just a simple quick fix, right? I just stop trading that. So this is the power of data. I know, for example, from round 2 that I really want to trade just London and New York. I know that I won't be trading the variable number 4 that I explained in a minute. I explained the previous minute, and yeah, LC2B was something that I was not sure, to be honest, but even though it gives small percentage in the end of the year, what I really like is the fact that the strike rate over the 4 rounds were all more than 50%. So yes, it's more rare. Yes, it's not as good as LC2A and LC1. It's definitely the better ones. But what I really like is the fact that it's high strike rate. It's at least something more than 50%. So I'm happy to keep trading that. So round 3, strike rate was really decent. And remember that I still continue, even though I knew I won't trade it, I still continue track data for London Wool and New York Wool. And I can see straight away, again, just confirming the idea that I won't trade this, because 33% strike rate, 42% strike rate. You can see London 77, New York 60. So yeah, I'm also very happy to take medium and high probability trades. This is where medium probability trades were majority of percentage came, and this is also good to know because it helps me reinforce the idea that I don't need to be perfect. Okay, I know I don't need to take only the A+ setups. I can take A+ setups or just A or B+ setups, whatever. I just want to know, and I already know based on my data, that taking those medium probability setups, it's worth in the long run. Okay, I'm still profitable, and this is where majority of my percentage came from. Okay, so I don't need to be super conservative. So phase is already something that I was expecting. Very, very decent. Yeah, nothing to say about this, to be honest. I personally like to trade all of them. The A+2, A2, B, C, and D. I take often. I don't take ranges, so sometimes I can take, but it's a mistake. But I still track, but not something that I pay attention, to be honest. And yeah, you can see, for example, from my strike rate and my results, that LC1 is where majority of my trades came from. LC2A gives very big strike rate, but LC2B, even though it's just 9% in the end of the year, strike rate still decent. And remember, guys, I trade more than one pair. Okay, I trade EU and I trade GU. So okay, it's just 10%, but 10% times 2 is 20%. From those 20%, even if I catch half of that, so net 10% in the end of the year, is still decent and can cover some of my losses that I will be taking for sure. Okay, so things that I like is the strike rate above 50%. I will take it. Very, very nice. And yeah, that was a decent year. Some negative months here, which for me it's not a big deal. Again, I don't focus on monthly returns. I'm much more interested on quarterly returns and year returns. I don't think on a month-to-month basis. You can't think of month-to-month basis. But again, if you trade more than one pair like myself, that helps because drawdowns, you diversify your portfolio, and that decreases probably the drawdown periods and helps having a much smoother equity curve. Okay, and then GU round 4, which in my opinion was also very decent. Every month was positive, very, very good. And then what again I really like is strike rate always above 50% on each entry model. Very, very clean. Majority of my returns coming from medium probability setups. It's funny that these low probability setups end up having good strike rate, but as I took 4 rounds, I can see that I'm not interested in taking low probability setups at all. And you can see the risk reward is also very small. Majority of them are medium probability and high probability, so that's what I want to take. Again, another one that London Wool and New York Wool stop doing because it does not work at all. 4 rounds telling me the same, and that again will increase the strike rate of my overall results straight away. So that's very, very nice. In terms of phases, I don't have anything to say, to be honest. Phase D was it was not the best. But I have 4 rounds, I can see all of them. I combine everything, I know that it's still worth getting involved. Sometimes the year is not as good. I remember this year, 2022 for GU was not an easy year, so I don't mind still taking this. So yeah, let me see if I can here. Okay, you can see very nice from the starts that very smooth equity curve. The quarterly, what I really like is the fact that it tends to improve. Sometimes you can have a slow quarter, but yeah, overall goes up. The phases, the D is the worst one, but I still happy to take them because yeah, I have more than 1 year of data. And again, this is just a small variable on top of an already profitable existing trading plan and strategy. So I know how to take phase D sessions. It's something that I really interesting because doesn't work and your cool doesn't work. Majority of the probability return come from medium probability trades, and LC1 right here, LC2A and LC2B. Okay, this is one type of entry model that you don't need to take. It just, if I don't know, if you like it for some reason, you find it works like I did, for me, just implement it, because for me it's, yeah, it's still decent, even though it's the worst one, it's still profitable, right? And strike rate is above 50%, so I'm happy with that. You can say here, right, 50% strike rate. Yes, it's not great for GU this year, but yeah, it's up to you if you want to add it or not. It's not a big deal. And yeah, that are my stats. I don't have anything more to say. Like, this folder, Excel spreadsheet, sorry, is absolutely incredible. So Matt did a brilliant job. I hope you guys take value from it. And yeah, this is everything that I did to add a small variable on top of something that is already working, guys. You already know the process, and yeah, this is how you should approach trading. This is a business and you should treat it as a business. If you guys like this video, let me know, and also if you have any questions, send me a message. And yeah, bye guys, see you on the next one.